I just came back from an ayahuasca experience and it was a humongous opening. There was so much love. I received so many teachings. And what I'm gonna do here is share one of the lessons I learned, because each and every lesson was so powerful and packed with insight that I can't share them all in one video, or it would take hours and hours. So over the coming weeks, stay tuned for that, I'm gonna share the most powerful insights and lessons and teachings I've received throughout this ayahuasca journey that I had. It was 2 nights of drinking and it was absolutely amazing. The lesson for this video, and it's a powerful one, is be with your feelings. Hey, I'm Virgo and this is Psychedelic Actualization. On this channel, we talk about topics like self-realization, self-actualization, and working with psychedelics to live a more authentic and fulfilling life. I love to help psychonauts find and actualize their life purpose so they can live in alignment with who they truly are. And I do that through coaching. If you're curious about that, check out the link in the video description. Being with your feelings. Such a simple lesson, right? Most of the most powerful shifts and lessons that I receive in psychedelic space at times are the very simple ones. Kind of the obvious ones of like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Why haven't I considered or thought of that before? And it's always so fascinating. The way this came up, this lesson, was by entering into the space in this ayahuasca experience. So I was drinking the cup, I was lying down, and I was waiting for the facts to come on. And it took like an hour or two to really enter into this space. And as it started, it was like, it was intensifying, but it was not really clear where it's going. There was no clear like lesson, no insight, no direction in the entering of the space. And it was very unpleasant, and I felt very uncomfortable, and it was very confronting. It was emotionally difficult for me to be in this transitioning phase from my normal state of consciousness into the ayahuasca space. And I was like, I don't know what this is. And then just being with that, the lesson came, right? The lesson to be with difficult emotions, to allow difficult emotions to be there, to be with your feelings, because that's what I was doing, right? There's not much else to do in ayahuasca ceremony, but just be with your experience, be present with your current state of being, mentally, emotionally, physically. All of those are important. But this one was really like looking at my feelings and emotions. And it doesn't only count for the entering of the space, but also for the kind of main part of the space, and for the transitioning back out of psychedelic space into normal state consciousness again. But just like the lesson that I was taking out of this experience was to not judge any emotion that I am feeling, right? To allow them all to be there. Because what I tend to do, and I guess many people, right? I don't know if it's you as well, is to sometimes not wanting to fully feel difficult, confronting, uncomfortable emotions, but rather go to the distraction, rather wish for a better feeling or a better emotion, right? Naturally, because it feels better, right? But that's based on our human bias from our personality, which is absolutely fine and natural. But the higher picture perspective is kind of one of non-judgment, which I found. An allowance of both the challenging, difficult and confronting ones to be there, and the good, blissful and joyful ones to be there, without being attached to any one of them. Without having like a preference or too much of a attachment to our bias to any one of them. So that's kind of one part of it. And that even leads to the next lesson, which is kind of a slightly different perspective than the non-judgment. The non-judgment is like just the allowance of all. But then what came up for me was also kind of taking on what in my coaching practice and in my coach training program they call a level 5 perspective. There's kind of a model of 7 levels of energy. And this level 5 perspective is a perspective of seeing opportunity. Always seeing the opportunity in situations. And with this lens on looking at being present with your feelings and experiencing and allowing all feelings to be there. Whew, that's powerful, because then the question is arising, what opportunity is present here? And what I've found is kind of, and what resonates with me is a concept of the emotional guidance system of if there is an uncomfortable emotion or a feeling that doesn't feel fully aligned, it might be an opportunity for me to look at this, and it might tell me something about, right, my state of being. I get to learn something about myself. I have the awareness now to look into this and to look at what's bothering me, what's not fully aligned, where is a misalignment of trust in the divine presence or in the process of the ayahuasca experience. And with this lens of opportunity, it's like it's a wonderful thing, because then there's an opportunity for an alignment to happen and for a shift of perspective then also with this non-judgment, allowing it to be there. So that's just the simple lesson that I wanted to share today. Being with your feelings. And in the experience itself, right, that was kind of the entering into the space where I experienced it, but in the experience itself, with ayahuasca especially, and also with a lot of other substances and in psychedelic ceremony, it's a theme that's so present, right? It's so wonderful to just be with your emotions, because that's where true healing and processing and releasing is happening as well, where all these suppressed emotions are coming up, and then sometimes they're even beautiful, or like there's grief coming up for past relationship or regarding your parents, and it's like, and sometimes it's like so heart-wrenching, and it's like, wow. And that's wonderful, because that's the process of feeling through everything that's present fully, to then be also able to release it. Not just from your system, not just emotionally, but that also includes then a physical release, a spiritual release. And that's so wonderful. And then transitioning back into psychedelic space, right? To hold yourself as well. That's what I've noticed in this ceremony as well. To really be with myself and also be with the feelings of like the grief of losing the love of the ayahuasca experience or the psychedelic space, this like heightened state of consciousness. To transition back, sometimes it's like it's difficult, and I want to hold on to the insights and hold on to the experience and like don't leave the space, and then to hold myself in that, acknowledge and validate those feelings as well, see them, acknowledge them, and then validate them of like, hey, that's totally natural for you to be there. Little anger, little grief, a little desire, a little sadness. Feel them. Wonderful. Wonderful. That was also Manej, who was facilitating, also told me afterwards of like when I was sharing, even in psychedelic space, I have the tendency to look into the future and like look at purpose and plans and visions, and it's like, and he's like, yeah, but also you gotta look and feel more, connect to your feelings, allow yourself to relax into your feelings. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. So that was a powerful lesson from this ayahuasca experience. Way more to come in the future. Subscribe to the channel. As I said, there's an ayahuasca preparation workbook that you can download, and also the coaching call that I'm offering if you're curious to talk a little bit about psychedelic integration coaching. Thank you very much for watching. I love you all. And Let's feel this together. Whatever is present. Exciting. Much love.